Beautiful, right. We are live, everybody. So welcome to our very first live coaching event for 2022 from Spa Professionals Guild. We are so excited. There's so much happening this year that I cannot wait to dive right into it. But let me start off by first telling everybody that we are going to announce our word. So, you know, we always have a word every year, okay? So 2020, it was obsessed. 2021, it was movement. And 2022, well, you're going to have to wait till next week. There's a little video clip. There's a newsletter coming out about our word. But I encourage you all to join our coaching session as well on Tuesday. And yes, I cannot wait till you all find out what the word is, because you're going to totally love it and embrace it as our word for the year. Okay, so without faffing and dawdling, I want to start off by telling you a little bit about our speaker today, okay? And she has the most interesting bio ever. So Nina started out in the industry in 1982, okay? And she had her first business, her first own salon at the age of 19, okay? So it really starts there. Then progressed on to being a manager of various spas, okay, and some of them like really leading spas. I mean, Chapney's was at one stage Europe's #1 spa, and then she went on board the cruise liners in a management role. Then Nina decided to change direction a little bit and went in a very interesting direction, and she joined a startup company in those days, which I'm sure most of you will know, the Spa brand. And she joined them when they started up. And that was her first step into growing a premium spa brand from day one. So really, she's been with a lot of companies. And there's one sentence that I want to read that describes what Nina does, that I loved it when I read it, and I want to share it with you. It says, knowing how to get clients, that's one. Grow a business from scratch with little to no money, 2. And 3, come to dominate your niche comes as second nature to Nina, who has essentially remained behind the scenes of very successful brands. So I'm most excited to hear what she has to share with us. And yes, Nina, are you there in your warm little jersey in your freezing cold weather? Welcome.
Hello, everybody. It's great to be with you. Yes, it is minus a ridiculous number here, -3 Celsius. It's so cold. Even the grass is freezing. The fog is freezing. We've got the heating going, but I wanted to wear something glamorous because it's so warm and lovely in South Africa, but I've got a huge polar neck dress on and I'm still cold. So I want to feel the glow of warmth from you guys emanating through the screen.
There's some other cold people too, Nina. There's Shani, who's logged in from Charlotte in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Been freezing there as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I don't know if Janelle, are you on? Oh, no, it's not called by Janelle. She's from South America and it's always boiling there. So anyway, so there is somebody else who shares your cold sentiments at this point.
Okay, so are we ready to start?
Yes, the floor is yours.
Okay. I have a presentation, so I'd like to share my screen.
Divine.
Okay, yeah, I have the thing now. Okay.
Ooh.
Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Excellent. Okay. Hopefully you see my screen without all of the little pop-ups and the other things on there from Zoom. Yes.
Yes, we just see your screen. It's perfect.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so off we go. So I think you've already given me a little bit of an intro, which is great. I am the founder of SpaSource and also Thrive Market Leader. So this is what I'm going to take you through in this workshop. We're going to start off with intro from me, just to give you an idea of my background, to lend credibility so that you know that I've been in your shoes at some point in my career, okay? And I can relate entirely. Then we're going to go through the 3 things. So I would say over the course of my 42 years in this industry, which I can't quite believe, it seems crazy, I've worked or created essentially some of the most successful brands in the world. In fact, at least 9 of the brands that I founded are now market leaders in their niche in the world. So I know what I'm talking about. And all that time with working with investment banks, CEOs, beauty leaders, influencers, everybody from the ground up, I've learned that there are 3 things. There are a few more than that, but 3 key things that can really turn things around for you. So we're going to learn those and then how to apply them in your business. And this is relevant if you are an employee, you know, an individual, as well as if you're a brand or you're creating a brand. Then we'll have a little Q&A session at the end. We'll allow 15, 20 minutes for that. And then we'll have a few more things at the end where, you know, you can carry on your journey. Okay, so here's how I started my journey into the wellness industry. In 1980, I became like a part-time, like a Saturday girl, a weekend girl, a summer holiday girl. So essentially I was working, you know, about 15 weeks a year in total in a small hair and beauty salon in my local town in the UK. And I did that from 1980 to 1987. So when I left school in 1984, I became an apprentice. Funny story about that. I actually wanted to be a management consultant. And obviously in those days, women couldn't be anything other than womanly things. So I was laughed out of the room. I don't think even the careers advisor knew what a business consultant was, to be honest with you. So anyway, the only job in the whole of my county was this apprenticeship. I was kind of shoehorned into it, but it all turned out well in the end. So I did the first part of my apprenticeship there, and I decided at that point that, you know, in those days, the pay was really bad and the hours were really long. I know you think they probably are now, but I decided that I could do better on my own. And the fact that I'd been already working for a long time, and I knew that I knew how to get clients. So I set up my first business in 1989. At the age of 19, I went to the bank with a bold offer. I borrowed the equivalent of about 5,000 US dollars, which was a lot in those days. I bought a car. I set up all of my kit. I even took on some more staff in the end. And I had a tri-county salon business where we would either locate ourselves in a particular hotel for a day or in another location for a day, or we would visit offices or even people's homes. And we would do, you know, if we were doing a home visit, we would do like a minimum of so many treatments or whatever to make it worthwhile. So within about a couple of years, we had about 500 clients, but it wasn't enough for me. I felt really under-challenged and quite bored, actually. So I just evolved on from there. I sold the business and I was taken on as head therapist at Champneys, which at the time was this is before hotels started pretending to be spas. This is when spas were spas, as in health resorts, proper health farms, and hotels were hotels. So at Champneys, like the minimum stay would be 10-day cure, but most people would stay for 3 months or 6 months. But because of where it was and its proximity to London in the UK, and the fact that it was so close to the airport, we mainly had A-list stars and royalty from all over the world there. So whenever there was something, you know, somebody got to the end of a big tour, you know, like U2 or one of the biggest bands in the world, they always used to come to Champneys, and we would have Lady Diana, Princess of Wales there quite often, most of the royal family of the UK, Europe, and the world, the Middle East. And so, you know, when we were doing treatments there, it wasn't like a regular spa. It was very much, there was a protocol there, and we had to have media training to handle the media, because the international press would always be camped outside the estate. Every time you wanted to leave or come in, you had to fight your way through the paparazzi. So that was really interesting. From there, I just went naturally evolved into managing bigger spas on board cruise ships, where you might have, say, 100 practitioners. And in those days, when we operated a spa, we would have the boutique, the hair salon, the beauty salon, the massage place. We'd have a hydrotherapy suite. Often have medical under that contract as well, fitness, personal training, nutrition, all of those aspects. So, you know, it wasn't unheard of. This is going back to the 80s and 90s. It wasn't unheard of to be responsible for generating $1 million in revenue every 5 days. And that certainly managed some ships where there was that expectation. So from there, anybody who's in a management role, or anybody who's even in a head therapist role, knows that most of your work is taken up with training and instructing others. The success of your business is reliant on the people that you have, the resources and the talent that you have in doing the right thing, right? So from there, I just went to uni and I did a postgraduate degree in education and training. I did quite a lot of education at that point, teaching at lots of colleges. I was an examiner for various exam boards. But, you know, education is all well and good, but I kind of missed the application of it. So from there, I spent, and it wasn't all in one line. Obviously, it's a little bit more higgledy-piggledy. I'm simplifying it for you. But I got, knowing that I had a natural affinity for sales and marketing, and knowing that having owned 3 businesses in the past, that Tri-County business, I also owned a day spa at one point, set in a beautiful cathedral city, and some various other businesses. You know, knowing how to get new clients, knowing how to convert clients into sales, and knowing how to build value in the relationship is the only thing really that matters in business. So from there, I got involved in business development, and then startups. And then from startups, you know, you kind of get this idea that you know your market really well, right? Anytime that you've been delivering services or treatments or consultations to the public, you know what they're looking for, you know what they go for and what they don't go for. So naturally, you're quite useful when it comes to NPD, which is new product development. So I've done multi-million-dollar NPD projects for ESPA. In fact, most of their core products in the range I developed with the other team members at ESPA at the time. I was with them from day one. Crabtree Neverland, one of the most successful personal care brands in the world, Glossy Box, #1 box in the world, Prismology, etc. I got my first directorship probably about 22 years ago. I can't remember the actual year. And my first CEO appointment, official CEO appointment, was about 15 years ago. So that's a little bit about me. You can go from a Saturday girl, and my boss was really mean. She used to make me get on my hands and knees with a bucket and a toothbrush and scrub the glass down in the salon, very old school, all the way up to 7-figure CEO. You can do it. Anybody can do it. I don't have anything more or less than you have. So keep that in mind. Here's some pics for you from my gallery of various years, all over the world. I think I've worked in pretty much 100 countries now. How many cities? I can't remember, or places, but certainly almost 100 countries. And I would say that, you know, of all the industries to be in, this particular sector is the one that is almost like a global passport. If you want it, you can go anywhere with it. Okay, so what is it that I do now? SpaSource, how do I add value to the industry? And I'll get to your chat in a moment, actually, I can see that. So I deliver professional development for people, for places, as in venues, and products, but not the kind of development that you can get anywhere else. This is the stuff that teaches you how to develop your own brand specifically to achieve the goals that you've been talking about. So all those affirmations that you were setting in the chat, and I was reading them as we were going, as we were waiting for me to come on, I'm going to address those in a moment, because I can see that most of those are what I call results. So for example, some of you were talking about acquiring more clients, generating more revenue, like doubling your revenue, tripling your revenue this year. You were talking about client acquisition and launching your own product range and your own gifting range. But none of those are goals. Those are actually results. And results come from clear goal setting. They don't come, that's not the goal in itself. You need a vehicle to be able to deliver those results to you. And that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about in the main part of the talk today. So we'll get to that. We also have Thrive Market Leader. That's my marketing agency. And the reason why I created it is because there are so many amazing women and some men in our industry that really know their stuff. They really want to help people. They're passionate about skin or complementary therapy or whatever it is that is your passion, nails, makeup, etc. And we just don't get exposure. And, you know, there are some budgetary restrictions with people in our industry, and we've definitely felt the squeeze of late. So we developed this whole platform of SMOLs, and they are small services specifically for our industry. And you can get anything you want, videos, logos, branding, creative graphics, literally from $5 all the way up. So that's something to bear in mind. There is a resource there for you. Okay, so the reason why I created these two brands specifically, and this is really my life's work, is to raise the professional industry profile and those within it to compete at a global level. I want to change the narrative. Now, the narrative as I was coming up through the industry has always been the same. Beauty is kind of looked down upon a little bit, right? It's not seen as a profession. I mean, it is a vocation, but it's not seen as a profession. It's not seen as something that is really serious. It's seen that, you know, the big global companies like L'Oreal, you know, make a lot of money on cosmetics. But there is kind of that misunderstanding and misconception about what the beauty industry is. I mean, you know, whenever you go to, now that hotels have muscled in on the spa industry, you go to a hotel, you know, and within the order of hotel management, the spa manager is, you know, just kind of quite far down there, down the track. You know, they're not up, they're not sitting in the C-suite, they're not sitting around the chairman's table or the board of directors. I mean, occasionally you get that, but mostly they're way down the pecking order. You know, when I had my first bricks and mortar salon, which I guess is in the like early to mid 90s, the rate that I was charging for my facials, it was a Dermalogica salon. So the rate that I was charging for my facials then is still the same rate that salons are charging for their facials now. And I just think, wow. So it's really to evolve that on. And when I was an employee still, I worked with a lot of well-known recruitment agencies in our industry, global recruitment agencies. And you know, I would be briefed before going into an interview, and they would say, just dumb down a little bit, you know, don't show how intelligent or how knowledgeable you are, just because it'll be a threat to them. Just dumb it down a little bit and just kind of, go with the flow and pretend that, this is all you want in life. And that's kind of been the narrative throughout the whole industry. I mean, not within our community, but pretty much how we're perceived. And I want to change that narrative. Have you noticed of late, have you watched any of the beauty influencers and what they've said? And they've said something that is completely contrary to everything that we know about professional spa and wellness industry. And it's that kind of, face in the palm moment where you think, no, God, I hope people that are listening to this don't actually do what this person is saying, because that's contrary to good skin and it will kind of, do all sorts of things. So, and I see, brand after brand after brand launching products and launching brands. And I just think, wow, the public need to know about this stuff because it's just wrong, wrong, wrong. And yet somebody who just decides that they're a beauty influencer, who, is quite active and gets to say, a good amount of followers, 1 million followers, and maybe they're cleaning up, they're making $50,000, $100,000 a month. Some influencers are making $1 million a week at the peak of their industry. And meanwhile, here are all of us lovely, knowledgeable, passionate, amazing, honest, trustworthy people who will really show people, what's good for them on a custom level. And we're being overlooked, right? So this is what I want to change, and the reason why I created Spa Source and Thrive Market Leader, because I want you to shine, and I want to give you the tools to be able to shine on a global level. That's what I want to do. So here's a little sample of brands that I've created or worked with to globalize or turn around. Now, aside from like the kind of this last sort of row or so, which are, official colleges or education bodies or accreditation bodies, of all of the other brands on there, would it surprise you to know that 20 of the brands on this board started from the kitchen table? Because I was sat at the kitchen table with the owner of the brand in their house or their apartment in the early days when we were setting up the brand. So let's just go along. Glossy Box, the very first one. In fact, I've got a little slide on them here. They are the #1 beauty subscription box in the world. They have just been sold for an 8-figure multi-million price tag to the Hut Group. Okay, when I joined them, we were literally sat, and I swear to God, on a wooden crate, right, an empty wooden crate in the back of a warehouse in this tiny corner, which is the only space that we could blag in London. And we had this one little camping table. There were about 15 of us all doing that, like trying to fit in. We had our laptops on our knees, and we were sharing, like 3 people were sat on a wooden crate. And that's literally how we started with the Glossy Box. They had no subscribers. They were not successful at getting products to come into their box. Nobody had heard of them. They'd literally started in that last few months. And within 1 year, we took them to 92,000 global paying subscribers every month. That's amazing. But you should know that they were all in your shoes. They had less resources than you have to your hand when they started that. But what they did have is a shared vision and a very, very clear pathway and a very clear goal to hit. They didn't say, oh, we want 100,000 subscribers and we want to have this much revenue. They knew very specifically, we knew very specifically what pathway we wanted to take. And that's why we were successful, because we were clear on our goals. Okay, and I'll get to that later on. Crabtree Neverland, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of them. Most people think they're from London. They're not. They were developed in the US, but London and that kind of whole thing is part of their branding. So they were acquired for 175 million by a Chinese brand some years ago. And I was brought in as advisor to the CEO and the C-suite to put a turnaround plan together with other people. This brand sells a hand cream every 3 seconds in the world, every 3 seconds. And I'm sure many of you probably never heard of them, right? Or if you have heard of them, you might think of them as being like a rather sort of dated brand, maybe that your grandmother might have used. But they've underwent this radical reinvention. And this company, I mean, they do millions and millions of dollars in hand care every month. Amazing company. Espa. So it was founded by a lady called Sue Harmsworth. And I was taken on as the first employee. We were literally sat in her kitchen table in our house in Guildford, Surrey, because we couldn't afford an office. And there was me and a few other people, and we were literally sat in the kitchen table, creating the products, developing the treatments. We used to sit in the front room, in Sue's front room. We had a little mobile couch that we used to put up. She would be the guinea pig, and we'd develop, you know, like the eye massage and the back treatment, the back diagnostic, and, you know, all of the various things, and like the pink hair and scalp mud. And that's literally where we started, in the kitchen table. It recently sold to the Hut Group for £100 million, and it's now available in over 700 spas in 50 countries. Probably one of the best or the best premium spa and wellness brand in the world. It's another one of mine. Okay, so that's a little intro over, and hopefully by now you've got the sense that, number one, I've been in your shoes. Number two, some of the most successful brands in the world started with nothing. No resources, no money, just literally going on goodwill and fumes until they got a little bit of traction. So everybody has been where you are now. And if you've got more resources than that, then you've definitely got more things to work with than some of the most successful brands in the world ever had to start with. Okay, so number three, now we're going to go through the 3 core things that create super successful brands. What is it that they do that makes them super successful that other people don't do at all? The first thing is to create. The number one thing that super successful brands do is that you have to see yourself through the eyes of your audience, okay? You have to completely change your mindset as the leader. And whether or not you are a therapist or something, and you're creating your own personal brand, or you're actually a business owner, you have to see yourself through the eyes of your audience, okay? That means that you never talk about your products, you never talk about your services, you never talk about your special offers, your prices, or any of that, because you have to see it through their eyes. They're scrolling, 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 and you have to see it. How do you look to them, right? What is going to be of value to them? Well, an offer is of value if they're already a customer and they've been with you for a couple of years. But if they're not a customer of yours, why would they be interested in an offer, right? That's not of value to them. Literally, the world is offering everything for a discount or free. What you've got to do is build value with your person. You've got to stop them in their tracks and give them a message that resonates with them and builds value with them immediately. So that's number one. The second thing is, once you've cracked that particular nut, you will not be able to move forwards. You'll literally open the door to the riches that you want, but you won't be able to get through the door. There's like an invisible force keeping you at the door until you build a team around you that you can delegate to. And that's really, 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 really tough, difficult task. I tell you, that's one of the hardest things. Working out the key thing that you do that you're known for is easy compared to delegating. But I've got some tips for you. Okay, and then number 3, so just I'll move that away, is see yourself through the eyes of a buyer, right? This is about relating. So number 1 is about standing out. How do you get known? How do you globalize? How do you become visible in a sea of trillions of messages? Number 2 is, how do you build that and move forwards? And number 3 is, how do you get then somebody to convert to buy from you and become a customer? Yep. Okay, so number 1, create. I apologize, you might not be able to see the text on PowerPoint here, but I'm going to read you through it. So the most important thing is that you show your face to the world. The biggest mistake that brands make is that they are overly concerned about the way that their branding is shown. Everything they do has to be, they'll hold themselves back because they don't have something professionally designed, or, it doesn't, it's just a photograph rather than a professionally designed banner or something, or the logo isn't quite right, or the shade isn't quite right. And none of that matters, because you have to see yourself through the eyes of somebody who's potentially looking for you, right? And they don't care about any of that stuff. All right. So let me just get rid of these off the screen. All right. See yourself through the eyes of someone with money in their pocket, looking for something similar to what you have to offer. Then ask yourself, why me? So if you saw any of your messages that you put out to the world, your Instagram posts, your Facebook posts, your YouTube videos, your TikToks, even your website, even your emails, why me? And that's a good question to ask yourself every time is, so what? So you've put it together, but so what? What does that mean to the person that ideally you're looking to attract in? Now, when it comes to who you should be targeting to, the rule of thumb is always yourself, because people like you do things like this. So people who have shared values, shared experiences, things in common with you are going to be the core audience that you're going to attract. So if you're in your 20s, probably most of your core customers are going to be in their 20s too. If you're in your 50s and you have certain beliefs about the world, then that's pretty much the profile of the person that you will attract into your business. So if you really don't know anything about your own audience demographics, how they think, what they believe, what their day-to-day looks like, the kind of things they do in their life, how they live, then just model it on yourself and you'll be 99.9% of the way there. Okay. So if you were looking for, a new skincare brand, a new lipstick, a new shampoo, a new, dress, what would you be looking for? What makes you stop in your tracks? I guarantee you it's not going to be a special offer, right? If a special offer was going on, but you didn't like any of the styles or the kind of the silhouette of the fashion brand, you definitely wouldn't buy, no matter how cheap it was. All right. So move all of that to one side because it means nothing. The core thing there is, what is it that you do? What do you want to be known for? All right. Start with an offer. And really, when you're looking to acquire customers, break even is the ideal outcome. You probably won't make, or you shouldn't really look to be making any money on the first transaction. The most important thing is that you attract people in. And the first step of attracting people in is usually for them to become a subscriber, right? They become a subscriber, you build value into the relationship, and then they become a customer. And then as you gradually increase the value, they spend more and more with you over more categories, more frequently. So don't look to make money on the first transaction. Just look to attract the right people in and then work on connecting with them and building a relationship of value. Okay. Be known for one thing. All right. Don't try to, it's not what you do. So whatever it is that you do, millions of other people also do the same. You're never going to stand out by saying, we have this technique, or we have this product range, or, we have exclusivity on this. People don't care about that. What they care about is how you do it. Now, we work in an industry where it's all about feelings and sentiments and emotions, right? We deal with that. So the most important thing is that you already have the skill to be able to connect with somebody, because you connect with somebody the moment they walk into your business. You connect with somebody during a consultation, during a treatment, in the aftercare. So those skills are really key. So all you have to do is work out how it is that you do the thing that you do. That's what's going to make you stand out, how you do it, how you make your customers feel. That is the experience of your brand. Think of it this way, right? if let's think of a brand that we all know, Nike. Everybody knows Nike. Yes, Nike, the sports brand. If Nike were to open a hotel resort, I think we could all say that we have a pretty good idea of how that resort would be. We'd kind of get the experience, right? It'd be like a kind of trendy, cool sort of place. You know, there'd be a lot of games going on and gamification. There'd be a lot of collaborations going on and creative stuff, right? And custom sneakers and all this kind of thing. So if you were to open a hotel resort in your brand name, what would the experience be? That's a really good way to visualize it, because we've all been, and we all know what a spa resort is, or a hotel spa resort. So I want you to think about whatever it is that you do, whether you've got a fitness brand, a skincare brand, a salon, a education center. Think about this. If your brand were to open a hotel spa resort, what would the experience be? How would you want people to feel? Okay, that's your brand experience. That's what you need to create. Okay, so you want to build value through the relationship and not the transaction. Somebody buying from you the first time might be, on the fence, and they might be pushed over the fence by a discount or an offer or something that a bonus that you're giving away. But they'll never become a customer unless there is that feeling now, that feeling of connection. You have to find a way to make them matter. They have to feel that experiencing your brand, whether it's just looking at your Instagram posts or watching your videos or actually coming into your business, they have to feel that, they've kind of come home. It's their kind of place. It's where, people like us do things like this. People like us go to places like this. It's that feeling of shared values and shared experiences and commonalities. So always bring it back to that. Talk about it all the time. Don't talk about everything that you do. Just talk about the one thing that is your thing, is the thing that you're going to lead with. Because if you talk about everything else, it's too confusing in a sea of trillions and trillions of messages from people all over the world. You just want to be known for one thing only. As people connect with you and they discover your brand and they get to experience what it's like being your customer or your student or your colleague, then they'll be curious and they'll want to try more things across more categories. But to start with, one single message, that's it. Everything that you do, bring it back to that single message every single time. You're saying the same message in a million different ways, if you like, if that makes sense. And you're showing the one thing in a million different images and videos. Show it all of the time. Be present wherever your community is. So if people like you hang out in Facebook, make Facebook your platform, your primary platform. Yeah, you can play around with the other ones, but really build your community on Facebook. And then when you get to the point where you're at 50,000, 100,000 followers, then you've got a little bit more money to play with. You can start to invest in resources to manage TikTok, Pinterest, Instagram, YouTube, etc. But keep one core platform for now. So if your people hang out on Snapchat, you should be hanging out on Snapchat. If your people hang out on WhatsApp, you should be hanging out on WhatsApp. You can build a whole business on Telegram, on WhatsApp, on Messenger. There are so many different plugins that will enhance the way that you do business on those messaging apps. And that's a good point, actually, is that in Thrive, market leader in the agency, we have a product called Boom Viral. And this is the whole campaign that we've actually gotten critical acclaim the world over for the results we've got on that. It's a platform that you can launch a business or launch a brand or grow your subscriber list or your marketing list on. And it's like boom, it's like rocket fuel. You go from maybe getting 50 subscribers a month to getting 50,000 subscribers a month when you're doing Boom Viral, right? It's like rocket fuel. And we've noticed that people that share on Boom Viral, number 1, 2, and 3 are all the direct messaging platforms, which is really interesting. So people still prefer to do person-to-person direct messaging than they do looking at an image or a video on a social platform, right? So if you're messaging, you've got LinkedIn, you've got Messenger, you've got, which is Facebook Messenger, right? You've got WhatsApp and you've got Telegram are the main ones. There's some more as well. But those 4 messaging apps are completely free to use. And you can build your business just on messaging apps. There's nothing that you can do on social media that you can't do on messaging apps. But even better, because it's personal communication and you can drop links as well. So instead of getting subscribers on your list, you know, grow your subscribers on WhatsApp. And with WhatsApp for Business or Messenger for Business, you can do group broadcasts in the same way that you can do emails. So that's a really super easy one, and everyone's got messaging apps on their phone. So be present where your community is. Where do you go when in your downtime, when you finish work and the TV's on, you've got your feet up, the kids are in bed? Where do you go to just, you know, like chill out and catch up on the day? And that's, and where do you contact your friends? You know, where do you message them? So wherever you use, that's where people like you are also going to be. All right. So always modeling on yourself. My next point is don't fall into the myopic trap. So myopia, as you know, is an eye condition, short-sightedness. And how it applies to marketing psychology is everybody has a myopic view of the world. In other words, your whole day, your whole experience of your life, you know, where you go throughout your day, what you do, you know, you drop the kids off, you do this, you do that, you take the dogs for a walk, you open the business, whatever it is that you do, and wherever it is you get your news, and wherever it is you go shopping and who you speak to and the people that you spend time with, that creates your unique view of the world. But what you have to understand as a business leader is you've got to step out of that, because that's myopic. That's just your reality, because that's your world. But that's not the same for everybody else. Somebody on the other side of the world is not going to be having the same view of the world as you, because they don't do the same things. They don't look at the same news site. They don't go to the same places that you go to. So don't fall into the myopic trap. When there are times when particularly, you know, when we had the pandemic and the lockdown started around the world, which was bad news for business owners, or was it? If you had a salon or spa in those days, you might have thought it was a disaster because you had to close your doors. But there are many more ways that you can grow your business outside of the doors of your salon being shut. In fact, the doors of your salon being open is a very limited, right? Because it's what, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week, 7 days a week. Well, how are you going to be making money the rest of the time? And what about if you've got no white space available? How are you going to be making money? So don't fall into that myopic trap where, you know, I noticed everybody in the spa industry and the spa associations during that time were saying things like, you know, it's a disaster. We won't be able to make any money, you know, until lockdown is finished and we can open the doors of the business. How are we going to pay staff? And if you believed any of that and you took all of that in, you would have been sunk, like really sunk. But who's to say that you couldn't have started a YouTube channel or some channel or even an online business where you could have started by giving away free education or something else, right? Maybe instruction to clients, you know, you can't come into the salon, so we'll show you how to do step-by-step how to do a virtual treatment. Or you could have given them a soundtrack, or you could have given them a podcast. And that would have built, that's 2 years ago. If you'd have done that every day or every week up to this point, you'd be at a critical point now where that was also generating revenue for your business. So don't fall into the myopic trap of whatever your community thinks or believes, whatever you're being told by the news channels, who also have an agenda, whatever you know, the mums at the school gates or the people that you work with, you've got to, you know, think independently, take yourself out of that, think originally, and always approach it with a creative way to solve the problem. The more creative you are at solving the problem, the more original you will be, the more successful you will be. Never copy anybody. You're very unique. So don't push it back on your list of priorities. This is one that I come across all the time. I've worked with 4,000 more than 4,000 brands in my career. And there's no difference between the ones that make it and the ones that don't make it in terms of the products they produce, the skincare, or the services they offer. The services they offer are of equal quality. The products they offer are pretty much of equal quality. All right, there's parity there. So it's not about what you produce, but it's about your mindset and how you work. So when you work in an operational business like a spa or a salon or education, where there's a lot of operations going on every day, there's a lot of activity going on every day, you know, you're firefighting all day long. I've been there, I've been in your shoes, I've been a spa director, I've been a spa manager, I've been a head therapist, I've been a practitioner, and you're just firefighting all day and you just can't step out of it. It just pulls you in and you just need to be in the fray, managing it all day. Even if you have managers, you still have to be in there managing it every day, right? And what happens is this, let's do a live on Facebook, you know, let's do an email broadcast, let's do a quick Q&A. All of that gets pushed down the priority list because there's urgent, critical stuff that is taking up your time. And that's the biggest mistake that you will ever make. That undervalues everything that you're trying to build. So you have to give priority to creation. You have to give priority to being seen, right? To what you're creating and what you're putting out there in the world. Because one of our faults is that we're very internalized as an industry. We're always looking in because we're always dealing with customers coming in, customers going out, you know, addressing issues as they come along, replacing staff who are off sick, dealing with issues all along that happen. A million things happen in a day in the spa industry, and it takes away our energy because we're always looking at that. So that's one of our biggest failings, and it would take an effort to turn it around, to flip it on its head. Right? So the priority becomes the creation of content, the creation of value to your intended target audience. And the things that take lower priority are the things that seem urgent because they're happening right now. You've got to find a way of either delegating those or coming up with an automated system that manages it for you. Okay, we're getting to the Q&A in a bit. Right, which brings us to delegation. You are never leaving the starting gate without a team. It's the hardest thing to do. So many times, you know, you take on people or you hire freelancers or you work with somebody and they claim they can do X, Y, Z. And then you get into it with them and it turns out they can't do X, Y, Z. And you kind of have to carry them, right? It's a real dead weight that you're carrying them, and it slows you down because you're having to carry them. So what you want to do really, and I know it's harder said than done, is you want to work with the most experienced staff that you can find. Consultants, freelancers and staff. You know, if you have a certain amount of budget and you don't really want to go above that, but you come across somebody really good, I would say go above it, because having somebody better than you in your business is actually going to save you so much time. Right? It's going to save you so much time, and that time is of value, and that time value is what will build your revenue for you. All right. So create measurable objectives. This is the ability to break down a plan of, some of you said you want to triple your revenue or you know, increase your acquisition of new customers by X. Break that down into objectives, because that's really a result. That's not actually a goal. That's just a result of achieving the goal. If you achieve the goal, your revenue will increase by twice. If you achieve the goal, you will have acquired, you know, 20% more clients than you need. So create measurable objectives. Find people who have experience to perform a task to 75% of your ability. Managing a team of people that can do pretty much what they need to do up to about, you know, a certain point, 75% of what's acceptable, is easier for you to go and edit and, you know, review and improve just that small amount, that last mile of work, that 25% that you need to do to bring it up to speed, right, to what you want it to be, than to think, oh, it's just easier for me to do it myself. It's the hardest thing. What you ideally want to do as you grow is you want to hire one agency partner who will manage it all for you. Find somebody who, you know, is very loyal and committed. And even if they don't have the resources in place that you need, they will go out and find them. You know, you just give them one payment and they figure out how they spend it and who it gets spent on and how they're going to deliver these services. But really, you just want one agency to deliver all of these business services for you. Obviously, when it comes to practitioner staff, you need to think about hiring specifically to achieve your objectives. For example, if you say you want to increase the number of clients that you're acquiring, so the number one thing is look at what is your most popular service and your most profitable service, because they might not be the same. Is it the most popular or the most profitable? So since you're in the business of making money, perhaps the most popular service is the ideal one to target. So say your most popular service is facials. Really, do you need another spa practitioner, or do you just need a facialist, a really good technical facialist? So hire a technical facialist and they will lead with acquiring lots of new customers to do facials on. Remember, when you acquire a new customer, you're not looking to make a profit, you're looking to break even, because you want to invest in the relationship up front, right? Really build a connection. And then over time, that's when you make your profits. So eventually, servicing that new facial client becomes tiny, like 1%, and the other 99% is pure profit, right? But to start with, you might not make a profit, but you might break even with acquiring them. So approach the problem with a creative solution. The more creative, the better, and the more unique you'll be. So remember, you're not just paying them to do a job, you're preventing further losses to your business by utilizing your value as a resource. Focus on building value and what is your time worth. So I'm going to do an exercise now. What is your time worth? Right, so you'll need a calculator and a pen and paper to do this. All right, so let's start. I'm just having a quick look at the comments. Okay then. This is a formula for calculating what your time is worth. Now we'll just use the basic formula for now, because if you are like, we'll assume that you're responsible 100% for generating the revenue in your business. So if you're a consultant or a freelancer or self-employed, you are. Obviously, if you're a business that has employees, then you have to allocate a percentage of that revenue production to your team and take some on yourself. But for the purpose of today, to keep the exercise simple, we're just going to assume that you're responsible 100%. All right, so we've got to calculate what your base earnings target is. Now, this is a number, an arbitrary number that you choose. So I'm just going to talk in dollars because I know that you're in Rand and I'm in pounds sterling, but we'll just talk in US dollars, yep, to make it easy. The base earnings target is what your goal for revenue in this period. So let's say 2022. Make it realistic. So for example, if you're turning over 50,000 now, you can't say I want 250,000 because you don't have the resources to be able to make that leap in that period of time, right? So put in a revenue target that you want to make that is realistic and not too far away from where you are now, right? There's a gain in it, more of a gain than you're expecting, but you can't make it unrealistic, all right? So put in your base target. So let's say 100,000, right? I'm just going to write this down on a piece of paper here, 100,000. I'm just using a round figure to make it easier for my maths. Right, you want to divide that by the work hours in a year, right? So this is the hours that you want to work in a year, all right? This is not the hours that you, oops, someone's writing on my screen. This is not the number of hours that you do work, it's the number of hours that you want to work. So for example, you can Google this. Every place usually has a calendar that says how many work days there are in your particular geography. So I Googled it for the UK, and I know that this year in the UK, we have 251 weekdays, 105 weekend days, and 9 public holidays. and that we have 365 days this year, because that's not the case every year. So for example, if you want to take 6 weeks vacation, you have to remove that from the hours. If you want to take 8 weeks vacation, remove that. If you're only going to take a week vacation, you need to remove that. So just work out now on a piece of paper how many hours a day you're going to work, how many days of work there are, minus the holidays that you want to take, minus public holidays. All right, so just take a few moments and calculate that. So you need to come up with a figure of how many hours in total you're going to be working this year. All right, so for me, there's 251. I usually take 3 weeks off, so that's minus 15. Where's my calculator? Is 236 days, and I do 8 hours a day, so times 8, 1,888. Okay. All right, so basically, let's say our base earnings target is 100,000, all right? And you work 8 hours a day and you work 5 days a week. It's going to be different for everybody. So I'm going to be working 236 days this year, times 8 hours a day is 1,888 for me, all right? And divide that by 100,000, which is my base earnings target, gives me a base hourly rate. I'm going to round it up to £60 or $60 an hour, right? So my base hourly number is $60 an hour, which is here, this one here equals base hourly number, okay? So that's going to be $60, but we don't stop there, right? Personal productivity diminishes the higher up you are. So if you are a technician, a nail technician, a waxing technician, a laser technician, a facial technician, something like that, where you're very focused on what you're doing, your productivity is quite good. Let's say it's almost like 70%, 80% is a really good level of productivity. When you get to management level or like head receptionist, it goes down to about 50% productivity, right? If you go up then to business owner, director, CEO, it goes down again, maybe 10 to 20% productivity, right? So the higher up you go, the less productive you are. The reason for that is, have you ever sat in your office and you've intended to do something, catch up on paperwork or accounts or whatever it is that you do, some admin? People are messaging you, people are calling you, people are asking why you haven't responded to emails, people are buzzing through saying, we need you to come and sort this out for us. You know, somebody's calling you, can you just tell me this? Can you just show me where that is? And your whole time is gone, right? And it's really annoying that you set that time to achieve something and it's completely disappeared and it just leaves you stressed and you still have to go and do all the stuff that you wanted to do anyway. That's personal productivity. There is actually a system for getting around that, but we don't really have time to go into it today because it's quite complex. So I'll leave the figure up to you, but you need to multiply that base hourly rate by your personal productivity. So I multiply it by 3 because that is the average for business owners, right? Multiply by 3. But, you know, if you're a practitioner, you might want to only multiply it by 1 or 2. All right. So for me, multiply 60 by 3 is 180. Okay, so my time is worth $180 an hour in this example. And again, like if you're not solely responsible for revenue production, you need to allocate that up amongst your staff. So let's say in this example, my time is worth $180 an hour, right? That's not to say that I'm getting $180 an hour from clients, but it is to say that my value in the business is quantified at $180 an hour. So if I find myself sucked into doing menial tasks that I could hire somebody to do for $10 an hour, then I'm stealing $180 of value away from my business every year. And that $180, that's where your new client acquisition and your revenue production, your increase in revenue, that's why it's not forthcoming, because it's being stolen away. By doing menial tasks, you're robbing your business of your time value. All right. I can see the comments, so if anybody wants to just ask anything about that. What have we got here? Oh, my work, that's frightening. Yeah, it really is mind-blowing. Well, have some Q&A anyway at the end, so you can ask me if there's something that you've missed on that. All right, so we get to the last of the three things. We've had create, delegate, the last one is relate. All right, so I think it was Frank Sinatra maybe who said, just be you because everyone else is taken. And again, something that I recognize instantly and I try to correct whenever I'm working with a client is they'll look at somebody else that they see as direct competition and they go, oh, they're doing this, or they're doing it that way, or they're doing it this way, so we should copy them and do the same because they think that's going to produce the same result. When clearly it isn't, because of all the reasons that we've already talked about today, which is that it's how you do it. Your business and brand is a direct reflection of you. So in the way that you create your own brand experience is going to be different from your competitor. You might be selling the same thing, but how you do it is got to be completely different, because people like you do things like this. People like you buy things like that, right? It's always bring it back to you. So never copy anybody else. You can look at what they're doing and be mindful of the general direction the market is moving in. You get a sense online of kind of like what the mood of the nation is, or generally what, you know, how everyone's feeling at the time. And you can let that inform you, but not make decisions for you. So never copy anybody, never copy what they do and the way that they do it, because all you'll be is a really poor shadow of them. You're actually following them rather than creating your own brand experience. You're just following somebody else. So don't give up your power that way. The power is yours and you're unique. Everybody else is taken. There's only one of you in this world, and that's what people want. You're enough. Okay. So again, echoing that, what you do is not unique. How you do it is, and that's what will make you stand out. So we've already done this exercise. Actually, I preempted that. If X was a brand of hotel, so if you, whatever your brand is, if you were a brand of hotel resort, what would the experience be? Think about the best way to manifest your goals, to create something into reality, is that you have to think about, how would you get there? How would you drive to your hotel resort? Would you be an Emirates airline and send a chauffeur to everybody who booked a ticket and bring them in, you know, a Maybach or something to the hotel resort? What would the check-in be like? Would you make people drop their bags and queue up like any hotel in the world? Or would you have a particular experience? Would you have somebody waiting with their favorite drink? Or maybe you would create a unique health and vitality giving shake that everybody, the first thing they do is they drink this shake and they instantly feel better because it's got this kind of key ingredient in it that's grown locally, and that you know the growers, and you can tell the story about that unique ingredient and that unique shake that they can only get at your resort, right? Then like, do you know, they've traveled, so do you give them some kind of scented towel? Well, what's the scent going to smell like? It's got to be a reflection of your brand. So is your brand soothing? Is your brand energizing? Is your brand giving confidence? Is your brand comforting? So think about aromatherapy. Think about color psychology. What's the color scheme of your hotel resort going to be? That fragrance that you have, the aromatherapy blend that you have in the towel, if you do have that, is that your unique scent that you fragrance the rooms and the hallways with? Do you use a baked bread, cookie, cinnamon roll, coffee kind of smell in the dining areas? Or, you know, do you just open the windows and make it fresh? Like every aspect of your hotel resort I want you to think about how you make that person feel, everything that you do is a reflection of your brand. And that's why, your brand needs to be unique, because everything that you do is a reflection of that, like literally down to the nth degree. Even the sounds that you're playing, are you playing the sounds of the local wildlife that you've captured, the morning bird song, or are you playing like, soothing spa music? All right, it's got to be unique. So you're going to show up in their stream every day, right? Where are they? Messaging apps, where are they? Social media, are they, no one's got any time these days. We actually have more time than ever, but we're not productive with our time, right? So when you're scrolling, we've kind of gotten used to this instant gratification. So is it any point producing a long video now, or do we just want to use a reel? When technology, particularly social media technology, when they roll out a new feature, if you adopt it early, I don't know if you know this, but your brand will be given priority in the algorithm. So for example, when Instagram Reels came out last year or the end of the year before, it took a long time for people to adopt it. But the people that started with Reels right away and figured out how to use it are now trending, and they show up in the stream a lot more, right? So always take on those new technologies as they're rolled out. So with there's a lot of compatibility now. So what all the brands are doing is they're kind of aligning, all of the social media platforms are aligning to this way that people consume content, right? Which is preferentially video, preferentially less than 1 minute or less than 30 seconds. 1 minute is kind of the ideal, like 59-second video, right? So who uses that format? Let's say you produce a 59-second outtake from today. Where are you going to put it? Well, you can put it on YouTube Shorts. You can put it on Instagram Reels, Instagram Stories, Facebook Stories. You can put it on TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn, and anywhere else. One piece of content, and Pinterest can go across all those platforms. Up until 2020 or 2021, if you wanted to produce a piece of content for all those platforms, every single platform you had to resize it and change the format output, right, even down to the frame rate. But these days, one piece of content, you can just put it everywhere. It's pretty amazing and just saves you so much time. Which brings me to the most important thing about relating to the people that you want to connect with, right? UCG, it means, actually should be UGC. User generated content, UGC, user generated content. The most powerful piece of content that you can put out that will connect with and attract the right people is content that you haven't produced directly. So we're talking about, it's called social proof. We're talking about clips from clients, from colleagues, from suppliers, from people who are in your business world, in your business network. And you just want a little snippet, right? 15, 30 seconds, 1 minute maximum. That type of content is the killer content. So the best way that you can relate is actually not you at all directly. It's people that you've helped to improve their lives, that you've touched in some way, are making content for you. So, you get clients all the time submitting stuff. They'll tell you on Instagram, they'll send you a little message going, that was amazing, that was great, thank you so much. Or you'll get a Facebook message or something, or a comment, right? You'll get a comment under an image that you've put. So you can grab that and you can create a video with it. Actually, we have a tool called Profit Posts that you can create a little 15-second video and put it up in a reel on your social media sites. So that's, think about that. Of all the content you put out, try to make most of it generated by your clients and colleagues. Okay. So that rocket fuels your business. That kind of post will rocket fuel your business. That is amazing. The more of that you can put out, the better. Then you've got live broadcasts on social media. You could literally go live 15 seconds, a couple of times a day. You just have to get into the mindset that that is a priority. You can do a story with a poll on it. That's really interactive. Those are fun. I often answer a poll, on a YouTube short or a YouTube story or an Instagram or Facebook story where there's the little poll, you know, is it this or this, yes or no? Those are really fun. You know, when you gamify the brand that you have, that creates interaction, it draws people in. And even if, you know, you weren't particularly looking for that thing, it makes you stop, and because you want your voice to be heard, right? If I see a poll, I want people to know what my opinion is. So I want to play the game. So that's really good. We're naturally, you know, as humans, we're inclined to play games with each other, you know, to get involved in gamification. So those polls and comments and little stickers that you can put in your stories are amazing. And they take 15 seconds to create. You can have a chat in the comments. Actually, in Instagram, you can reply to a comment with a reel now, which is amazing. So if you've made a reel about, you know, a certain thing that you have, and somebody writes a comment, can you tell me more about it? Can you give me more info? You just reply in the comment with your reel. Amazing. Q&A streams. And then again, just reiterating here, reels, the global content from one video, YouTube shorts, TikTok, meta stories, Insta stories, web, metaverse, and more. Which reminds me, just a quick note about Facebook is now Meta. And the reason why they're doing that is because they're really skewing towards the metaverse. And the metaverse exists via virtual reality. So, you know, if you've got those headsets that you put on, they're being used for games and education and all sorts at the moment. If you actually go into the metaverse, because there's a few videos that show you what it looks like inside the metaverse, even if you don't have the VR headset, people are actually building spas and spa, you know, schools and all sorts of things inside the metaverse right now. So when the metaverse becomes popularized and, you know, people take up the new technology, you've already built your hotel resort, right? The brand of your dreams. You've already built your own hotel resort in the metaverse. So I know you're probably sat there thinking, I know absolutely jack about the metaverse. I don't know anything about VR or AR or machine learning. The point is, nobody does. There's probably a handful of people in the world right now that know about that stuff, right? Nobody knows about it. But you can say the same about Instagram when that came out, the same about Twitter, the same about Facebook. Everybody starts from the same position. So, you know, the metaverse at the moment is free to build as well. So that's a really interesting concept. And I intend to build an agency and the Spa Source school inside the metaverse. And we're looking at doing it now. So we don't have a clue how to do it, but it's our goal. So we're gonna work out a plan, suck it and see. Okay, that's me done. Ask me anything. I think you probably have to ask me on the chat because I think I'm the only one that can talk at the moment, right?
Nina, they can unmute if they'd like to ask you a question directly. It's perfectly fine. Would anybody like to unmute? Let's ask away. This is your chance, everybody.
Come on, you can ask me a question about anything, about your own business, about creating a brand, about making it more unique, about using social media, about, you know, even creating a video that you can put out there. Somebody's got to have a question for me. I think you're all just like going, oh, right?
There was a question here. Let me just try. Here it is. If my brand and business is a reflection of me and bringing it back to me, how do I not fall into myopic trap?
Okay, so if you think about values, right? Your values are the same regardless of what's happening. So let's say there's a pandemic going on, or maybe an economic recession that we had like a while ago, or, you know, something is happening locally in your area. So for example, let's say you're in a state where there's been flooding or bushfires or something like this. So that kind of, you know, if you let that interference get inside your head, it will alter your mindset, and everything, you'll be thinking about things in a more, you know, you'll have that go into like fight or flight mode, and you'll be transmitting that. You'll be communicating it via your body language and everything that you say. It's like, you know, during the pandemic, everyone was saying, oh, we're broke, we've got no money, there's no clients coming in, how can we possibly keep the business going? Now, if you were, you know, part of like the spa industry, the spa association, all the big ones, and that's all they were talking about for 2 years. And I just thought, wow, you know, you can't let your mindset get into that. So irrespective of what's happening in the world, all right, and in the area, put all that to one side and think about, what are your core values? What do you believe? Right? What do you believe as an individual? What do you believe of the world? What do you believe of people? What do you believe of the future? What do you believe of what's possible in the moment? Those are the values that you live by and you carry forward and you transmit into your team, into your clients, into your circle of influence. So that's the way to not fall into a myopic view, right? When you hear those people say, oh, there's no money in this, or, you know, there's too many skincare brands in the world, you'll never make a profit, you know, or, you know, you need at least $1 million to be able to launch something. Okay, that will influence your mindset. You can't let those messages get in, because they're the view of people with a myopic outlook, who've probably done no independent research on the subject whatsoever. All they're doing is echoing how they feel inside, right? So you've just got to retain your values and be very single-minded about it.
Wow. Okay, awesome. And then there's a very interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
Is, would the metaverse system take away from the one-on-one learning, or will this be another avenue to get your learnership out?
Okay, so let me answer that with an example of how things could look in the metaverse. So obviously this is, at the moment, the metaverse is an alternate reality. All right, it exists, but it's not like, we can't see it, feel it, touch it. We have to be wearing a VR, virtual reality headset, in order to access it, right? That won't be the case in the future. The more, you know, reality and alternate reality will become more enmeshed as we move forwards. But right now it's an alternate reality. So let's say, I don't know, your learnership. Okay, so let's say you are a spa school, okay, and you teach, you know, spa qualifications, you teach massage, aromatherapy, all of these things. So at the moment, you're located somewhere in the world, in bricks and mortar, you put yourself down, people come to you because that's the way it works, all right? Or you maybe do a distance learning, but at some point you have to meet, because you've got to assess them summatively, you know, check that they're qualified, they have to produce evidence, etc. We know how it works. So let's say that you're building something in the metaverse, right? Let's say you're building the spa school of your dreams in the metaverse. Somebody from, and let's say you're teaching in English, right? So somebody from the other side of the world who speaks Japanese or Korean or Russian can become a student of your spa school, because the metaverse will have automatic language translation. They can talk to you in their own language, and it translates to instantly, so that you hear it in your language. Everything that you post, like written word, is instantly translated so that what they see with their eyes is in their own language. So there are no barriers to communication as far as language goes, okay? It means that you can open your learning up to anybody in the world who resonates with your values, right? It also means that you can operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. People can come on, you know, it's whatever time it is now, for me in the afternoon, but somewhere in the world it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Everybody is on a different time zone. Everybody has a different agenda. Everybody has different needs, but you can deliver everything for everyone in the metaverse, right? There's also going to be a metaverse currency, so people can actually, with their own local, like Russian rubles, buy a metaverse dollar or whatever it is and spend it in your school, and it'll be some form of cryptocurrency which actually shows up in your bank account as real currency, in your own home currency, right? So it won't detract from what you do. It will actually, well, if you decide to start now, then it will actually, you know, by the time people get to adopting the metaverse in years and years from now, you'll already be maybe the #1 spa school in your niche. Who knows? Actually, we're thinking right now, I'm kind of thinking in my head, if anyone here is interested in this metaverse situation, we're all kind of in the same boat at the moment. I probably maybe one step ahead of you because I've been looking at it for a while and I've got a few technologies lined up. But if anybody wants to move forwards with me, I can kind of you can look over my shoulder as we go along and we can build together. Just connect with me in some way. I've got a connection slide here actually at the end there. Connect with me and we'll just figure something out. Maybe we'll do a look over my shoulder kind of weekly, and then you can just, you know, copy along and figure it out. There's literally only a handful of people in the world that you can actually hire to do this stuff at the moment. So it's probably easier to just do it yourself and become an expert at, you know, building it in your own vision. So that's what we intend to do. It's just a bit of fun. Yeah. Okay, more questions.
I think we're good. Everybody, anybody else? Any more questions? We have gone over a little bit, but it's been so interesting that, wow, it's been totally eye-opening.
It's usually like that when I do a talk. People are going,
our brains are a little bit like, oh my word, how do we absorb this and how do we?
I know. I'm not sure actually if I can say this. I'll just ask Marissa while we're here. A client of mine who's called Yasmin Boland, she is famously known for moonology, which is a manifesting system, moon manifesting. She's about to do a free week 7-day challenge, manifesting challenge, where it teaches you how to be clear on your goals, how to create goals that you can actually bring into reality. And then there's a system with how you can do that. We do it like twice a year. We get about 7,000 to 10,000 people a time, and you just work through it in your own kind of time. So if anybody is interested in doing that, like I said, it's just a small free program, and I think it would really help a lot of you to actually become clear on what it is that you want and how to write that down so that it actually becomes something that you can manifest rather than a result of something that you have manifested. Yeah.
Sounds
I can, if that's okay, can I put the link in the
yes, please put it in the
there.
chat.
Okay. Yes. So let me just pause the share and I'll just grab the link. And
yeah, and then maybe also Nina, if you can send it to me on email and we'll put it on an email blast to everyone. I think that's
yeah, sure. Okay, that sounds great. Perfect. So let me just grab that for you. Here we are.
Yeah, that sounds
and just drop into there.
The chat.
There we go. Okay, perfect. So that's everything from me.
Now, where's that link? I don't see it in the chat. It's not in the chat.
Okay. I put it in the chat.
No, it's not there. I don't see it. Have a look. No.
Oh, hang on. It just sent to Nungo. Let me just, sorry about that.
There we go. Nungo's put it on.
There we go.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Nungo. All right. And then, yeah, if you can pop it off to me on an email and I will get it out to our community.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for these valuable golden nuggets of note that you've given us. And yes, I mean, everybody's time is so super valuable as we've just done the exercise with you. And we really, truly appreciate you being here with us. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Look forward to connecting with you. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Cheers, Nina. So if everybody, you can put your checkout words in the chat box, maybe just a little word about how you're feeling now. How was that session? How's everybody reacting to it? Will be nice to hear. And then a goodbye from us. And don't forget, next week, Tuesday, we'll see you. We have another amazing speaker, Andrew Gibson. So I don't know if anybody has heard about him, but he is another big name in our industry. And Andrew's going to chat to us about data collection and why it's so absolutely critical in our businesses. So another absolutely not to be missed session. So yes, okay, lovely. Nina, look at all those words there. Mind blown. Great.
Amazing.
Session.
How do we capture those?
Blown away. Thank you, Nina. Mind blowing. Amped to get this all done. So that is fabulous.
Thank you so much.
Divine. Okay, everybody. So no matter where you are in the world, if it's the US, have the most amazing day. And for us in South Africa, the most amazing evening. And you too, Nina, a lovely afternoon, because I think it's still around 3:30 for you, right?
Yes, it is 3:30. Still a bit more of a working day to go yet.
A little bit more. Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
So much. Cheers, everybody. Lovely.
Bye. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.